Do chameleons really change color to camouflage? The truth is different. Hey folks, welcome back to Clear Up Misunderstood Facts, the show where we lovingly roast your favorite childhood science facts and replace them with, well, actual science. Today's episode is all about one of the biggest celebrity reptiles in the animal kingdom, the chameleon. You've seen it in cartoons, heard about it from your science teacher, and maybe even used it in a metaphor. Blending in like a chameleon. But here's a twist. What if I told you chameleons don't actually change color just to blend into their surroundings? Yeah, take a deep breath. Everything you thought you knew about these little color-shifting ninjas might be wrong. Let's dive into the science, the myths, and the dazzling truth about our reptilian friend. The popular myth. Ask anyone on the street. Why do chameleons change color? And you'll probably get the same answer. To camouflage themselves. It's one of those facts that just feels true. It makes sense. You picture a green chameleon chilling on a green leaf, then suddenly going brown when it moves to a tree trunk. Like a master of disguise. But in reality, the truth is far more colorful. Literally. What chameleons? Actually, do chameleons change color? That part is true. But they're not usually doing it to hide from predators like little reptile spies. In fact, camouflage is just a small part of the story. Most of the time, chameleons are changing color for three main reasons. 1. Communication. To show mood or signal to other chameleons. 2. Temperature regulation, to absorb or reflect heat. 3. Physiological state, such as stress, excitement, or mating readiness. Think of it less like a cloaking device and more like a living mood-based LED display. How it works. The science behind the magic chameleons don't just paint themselves a different color. Their color changes are controlled by nanocrystals in their skin. Wait, what? Yup. Beneath their transparent outer skin are layers of iridophores, cells containing tiny nanocrystals made of guanine. By adjusting the spacing between these crystals, chameleons can reflect different wavelengths of light. So when the chameleon wants to chill and absorb heat, it might reflect more reds and browns. When it wants to be seen, say during a showdown with another male, it might light up with brilliant blues, greens, and yellows. This process is less like makeup and more like tuning a radio to a different frequency. But for your skin, camouflage. Sometimes, yes now, we're not saying chameleons never camouflage. Some species, especially the smaller ones living closer to forest floors, do use subtle color shifts to better blend into shadows or foliage. But for most species, especially the large, vibrant ones like the panther chameleon, color change is less about hiding and more about talking. Think of a guy wearing a neon tracksuit to a party. He's not blending in. He's saying, "Hey, look at me." Color change as a social tool. This is where it gets fascinating. Chameleons use color as a form of social interaction. Mating displays. Males will light up with bright colors to attract females. Territorial warnings. When confronting another male, they'll flash intense patterns to intimidate. Mood indicators. A calm chameleon is often dull or greenish. A stressed one might turn dark or spotted. Researchers have even decoded some of these color messages, observing how reactions change depending on the patterns shown. In other words, color change is like a visual Twitter feed, constant updates on how the chameleon is feeling. Thermal regulation chameleons are ectothermic, which means they rely on external sources to regulate their body temperature. A dark color helps absorb heat faster when they're cold. A light color reflects heat when they're too warm. This explains why a chameleon may look dull and dark in the morning sun, and then shift to a lighter shade as it warms up. So yes, a chameleon can kind of be like a walking thermostat. Pop culture and misrepresentation. So where did we get this whole camouflage myth? Unsurprisingly, cartoons, books, and media have been guilty of oversimplifying. TV shows often show chameleons turning the exact shade of a checkerboard or vanishing into plaid wallpaper. Sorry, that's not a thing. Even classic animal documentaries used to emphasize stealth over social function. Why? Because the idea of a living invisibility cloak is just too cool to pass up. But recent research has flipped the narrative. Zoologists and biophysicists have now observed and recorded the real-time structural changes in skin layers, revealing the true science. Not all chameleons are created equal. Here's something you might not know. Not all chameleons are color-shifting superstars. There are over 150 species of chameleons, and only some have the highly developed color-changing abilities we associate with the group. Many change only slightly, from a muted green to brown, or from gray to olive. The dramatic rainbow on legs effect mostly belongs to species like the panther chameleon or the veiled chameleon. So, saying chameleons change color to camouflage is kind of like saying birds fly. True for some, not for all. The broader lesson. At this point, you might be wondering, why does it even matter? Isn't it just a cool reptile party trick? Well, this myth matters because it shows how easily oversimplified science can become cultural fact. When we reduce animals to cartoon gimmicks, we miss the real, and often more interesting, biology. Understanding the true function of color change opens up windows into evolutionary biology, physics, communication theory, and even nanotechnology. Researchers studying chameleon skin have developed insights for creating color-changing materials for clothing and display tech. So, yeah, your future color-changing t-shirt, you might owe that to a lizard. Let's wrap this up. Do chameleons change color to blend in? Sometimes, but it's far from the main reason. Most of the time, they're communicating, warming up, cooling down, or trying to impress a date. Their skin is a living billboard, not a Harry Potter invisibility cloak. So next time you hear someone say, "Be like a chameleon and blend in," feel free to wow them with the truth, or just smile, nod, and keep that nerdy knowledge to yourself. Thanks for listening to Clear Up Misunderstood Facts. Subscribe for more episodes where we blow the lid off myths and replace them with glorious, geeky truth. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the obvious.